comes from everywhere in India. He's a man of many talents. He used to be, I think he was considered one of the most effective presidents that the India-America Cultural Association has seen in Atlanta. So please, I think now he is making inroads in the area of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, education. If you notice, I did not set up any group dealing with education in this conference. And if you attended the panel yesterday, you know exactly why. Because, but he's an exception.
Hi, good afternoon. Come on, come on. Good afternoon. There you go. That's more like it. Okay. So when I was talking to Narayanji in Atlanta, and the crowd is very sparse, so I don't know whether others will be missing my histrionics. But anyway, I will continue because I'm respectful of time. And Narayanji whispered in my ear, where is he? He whispered in my ear in the dining room, hey, listen, be a little short. Now, I want to tell him and tell everybody else, I'm not going to be short. I'm going to utilize my entire 30 minutes. So if you don't like it, tough luck. Anyway, so when I was talking to him and he was inviting me to attend this conference, I asked him, I said, listen, is this conference, and this is very serious, is this conference moving forward really? Is this action oriented? He said, yes. So I am all about action today, okay? All right, now, if you read this scroll of what is going on the side, Abdul Kalam, there is one saying, hey, the only thing that can disturb a relationship, and I'm talking about the relationship between me and you guys, is what? Is ego. So remove the E and let's go. All right, so if I'm abrasive in the middle, pardon me. Because I want to be abrasive, because if you have overeaten in this dining hall, then you are in for a rude shock, because I'm going to fire up your adrenaline. Are you okay? All right. And I'm going to leave you with some introspection, with some thought, with some churning in your stomach. You've heard of butterflies, right? I want you to really, really think hard on my last section. So I want to split this entire session into three: what, why, and how. So here you go. I've spoken at various forums like this, and people have really got enraged. Say, listen, what you're saying is absolutely right, but how do you go about doing it? So I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do about it. So I am an emulator of who? Of Rabindranath Tagore, right? Jade tore daksone koi na ache, tabe akla chalo re. So all dreams, like Abdul Kalam ji says, every revolution starts from the first step, right? That's what I'm all about. I'm all about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, the Indian National Army. Anyway, so here is my story. I'm a storyteller. So this is about the what, okay? So I have a physics background with an MBA, with a law degree, with a company secretary, CS, and a PhD in marketing. And why? Because I feel there are new frontiers to be developed, new frontiers to be conquered, okay? Nothing can satiate my appetite for new flavors. So I've had 3 lives. The first life, 14 years in oil and gas, Indian Oil, and I love Madras. In my previous verse, I was a Madrasi. I still can't call Madras Chennai. I still call Madras Madras. So I worked on Mount Road here in Kivraj Mansion, first 3.5 years. So Indian Oil, Gas Authority, Burma Shell, then Bharat Petroleum. Then 21 years in IT. I handled 2 IT companies, in one here, 2 in the US, and took them to reasonable heights. And then, do you understand what is epiphany? So 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, why am I born? What is the purpose of my life? What am I here for? Why has God sent me here? And then I got answers. Hey, listen, you have to give back to the society. You have to look beyond yourself. And this is my way of giving back to the community. So I am not a deep-pocketed guy like Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, but I have fire in my belly, I have a thought in my mind, and I want to do things differently, but I want to make an impact. India is my Karam Bhumi. So I decided 4.5 years ago, to dedicate my life, the rest of the life. I'm going to live 115 years, and I'm 65 today. So 40 or 50 more years, 55. For the rest of these lives, I am going to dedicate myself. So I'm a man on mission, okay? So when I end this talk, I'm going to urge you to join me in this crusade. So over the past 2 days, 24, 48 hours, there has been Rajiv Srinivasan, who has talked about platform. You agree? You remember? Then there's this guy who's partner in crime, Narayan Komrat. He's talked about tinfoil hat. He's talked about, hey, find local problems and find indigenous technological solutions as a way of doing innovation. Then there is this guy called Rahul Goswami, who has talked about the Sustainability Development Goals, SDG. And the fourth goal in that is education. So friends, I want to have my secret sauce revealed that I am all about education. But education with a difference. Education at the grassroots level. Education where it matters most. Education where people can assimilate it, where people can ingrain it, people can imbibe it. And that's the education 1 through 10 or 1 through 12. Now, so 4.5 years ago, I started on this arduous journey where I realized that even though I'm a proud product of Indian education, and so are you, yet times have changed. And how times have changed? That devoid and bereft of a certain structure leading towards creative thinking. Please understand these words. Everybody from yesterday has talked about this problem, that problem. I'm different. I'm a solution guy. And I will appreciate if you can understand what I'm trying to drive across. So, when you talk to a 6th grader or a 7th grader or an 8th grader and can talk about contextual problems, problems that are in his or her backyard, problems that are local, like Narayanji said and Rajiv said, and then immerse him into trying to solve those problems. What ironically we have done is that we have had ITIs address this situation when people are graduates or postgraduates. They are already painted. You've got to first erase the paint and then paint it back on. Okay? So now, here is a raw mind. A mind which is going to accept, which is going to endure what you're going to say to him. And that's the mind I am addressing. So, there was a chance meeting in 2014, and I can't name the person, everybody knows that person, who came to the US after the embargo on his visit was lifted. And there was a conclave, and where this spark got ignited in me. And the spark was, listen, if we can bring some creative, some innovative, some out-of-the-box thinking ingrained into our children, into education system, that will be a yeoman's task. So the government is doing something, right? Have you read about NEP 2019, the National Education Plan? Have you read about Rashtriya Avishkar Abhiyan 2019? Have you heard about RISE, Restructuring Infrastructure or Revitalizing Infrastructure and Systems in Education 2019? All a part of the recently announced budget by Nirmala Sitharaman. They are all aimed at experiential education. Hands-on, practical, touch, feel, sensorial. And that's the order of the day. So, I got intoxicated. I said, this is it. In my third life, I have decided to devote to this particular endeavor. And so here I am. I've got a bunch of my friends together who are STEM stalwarts. How many of you know about STEM? Anyone? 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a handful. Science, technology, engineering, and math. It is an interdisciplinary teaching of math and science concepts interspersed with engineering and technology. It's all application oriented. So when you ingrain a child into understanding what is buoyancy, or what is flotation, or surface tension, or Archimedes' principle, you don't talk about that. You talk about like he said, or Rajiv said, a local problem. Problem that occurs in Cochin or Kerala, problem that occurred in Delhi, problem that occurred in Hyderabad, problem that occurred in Madras, flooding. And you tell a child, listen, you are inundated with a huge pool of water around you. How do you alleviate the pain point? How do you ferry yourself and your friends to safety? And then the child's neurons get fired. And then the children in a group-to-group setting, peer-to-peer setting, collaborative learning, find solutions. So the idea is, what we have talked about for the past 48 hours, finding solutions to local problems, finding assessment as to how to deal with those challenges, real-world issues, real-world problems, and addressing them in a way they've not been addressed before. And children have the DNA, have the genes. People have talked about 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, X thousand years ago. All major inventions or really good inventions were made in this holy land, right? How many of you know about Ayadurai? Have you heard of Ayadurai? Anybody else? Who do you think invented email? Anybody? Anybody? No. Come on, this has to be to and fro exchange. I don't want to be one-sided. Yes, sir. Roy Tomlinson, right? So Roy Tomlinson is credited with having invented email. Wrong. That's Wikipedia. It was Ayadurai, 14-year-old Indian, having gone to New Jersey, having cloned an office environment where dark came. He worked on that, addressed the answers, and the dark was distributed again. He wrote 50,000 lines of code, and email was born. Indian guy. What happened? Different environment. I'm going to talk about this for the next 15 minutes, 17 minutes, because Narayan Komrad tried to bribe me and said, listen, just 20 minutes. After that, it's... I said, well, you don't know. I am a poet. I'm a storyteller. Once I go on, I cannot stop. I'm just kidding. I will stop. Anyway, so my journey started. I congregated this entire pool of my friends from prestigious institutions in the US. They were all STEM stalwarts. They were all guys who had done incredible work in the field of STEM. And I said, listen, we have this situation in India where rote learning is the order of the day. How can we transform a traditional Indian classroom into an innovation lab? So that's not all. They said, oh, we don't know India. I said, okay, here are the tickets. 6 people, Goras and Ka, they all came with me here. So they had Andhi, Tufan, pollution, plastic, Garmi, Pasina, perspiration, everything. And then they saw firsthand what were the problems in India. Can you imagine that if you have to conjure a challenge, a problem, you've got to think about it, right? So there originated the process of thinking, right in the team that created all this. Then I said, this is CBSE syllabus, this is ICSE syllabus, and these are state board syllabuses. Now, math and science is universal, but it's a little bit tweaking here and there. So I said, hey, how do you incorporate them into these problems? And then they sat down. Each module or each learning unit that we tried to create is now incorporating a whole plethora of all these different concepts. And all without the child realizing that he is studying XYZ. It is all interdisciplinary. So what we have done is now that from 1 to 10, we left aside 11th and 12th. Because yesterday some people were talking about this JEE and all that. We don't want to be a part of that. We don't want to be a part of people who say, oh, I'm here to complete the CBSE, ICSE or state board syllabus. We're not here talking about syllabus. We are here to ignite thinking. Our children do not think. If they don't think, they don't dream. If they don't dream, they don't act. And that is the vacuum. So we said, okay, we are here. We will only allow people to think out of the box. We will get people, children, youngsters, to be able to think, hey, how can I become the next Varamira? How can I become the next Charak or Shushrut or Shakuntala Devi or Arya? This is possible because we have done it. We have the DNA. We have the genes. It's just a matter of rekindling that fire. Fire is what I'm trying to create. And the proof of the pudding lies in eating. So we created this whole spectrum of modules or learning units from this to this. Each grade, age appropriate, grade appropriate. it was a painstaking journey. It took us 4.5, 5 years, and now we are ready. For the last 1 year, I traveled the length and breadth of this nation, and I experimented. I wanted me to be the test bed. So when I went and I found, the response was simply euphoric. It was overwhelming. And I said, well, this is it. So what did I do? I didn't go to the government. Because once you go to the government, you are into red or blue or black or whatever tape you call it. So I went to Navodaya Vidyalaya. People talked about rural empowerment. People talked about women empowerment. So I said, hey, Navodaya Vidyalaya doesn't take money. They have rural schools, and they have focus on girl child. Okay? So if you empower a girl, and girls, by the way, are more conceptual thinkers, 360 thinkers. No offense meant to the men folk. Today is the period or the phase of women power. So forget talking about manpower anymore. So women. So there have been Sunita Williams, there has been Kalpana Chawla, there is another Jasleen Kaur, but there has been only one Rakesh Sharma. So girls are the ones to be empowered, and that's what I'm building on. In fact, I've got accolades from the US. We have implemented this in the US, and the girls who code is another example, and girls in STEM, ushering them into non-humanities, non-social sciences, non-arts areas, and trying to encourage them to be in the STEM field. So I went all around and I said, hey, so the Navodaya guy said, listen, you are right on the money. So now we have started pilot program there. Yesterday, I made a small point to somebody about plastic. So this Sonam Wang, how many people have heard about Sonam Wangchuk? 1, 2, 3, okay. Everybody has seen movie Three Idiots? The last scene, the Wangdu and all that. So he's a real man, 52 years old, very unassuming, down to earth, but an inveterate inventor. And so this guy reached out to me and said, I've heard things about you. So I went to Ladakh in April, and he has a school called SECMOL. Do you know what SECMOL is? SECMOL is all about energizing the rural youth. So he admits 40 children every year for 11 months. And these 11 months, the benchmark for admission in that school is that each child should be 10th fail. So these 10th fail children, he transforms into gems. Okay? Can you believe a better way of serving the society? So we have implemented our program in SECMOL. So we are so proud. So that, Navodaya, host of other schools. Let me talk about the government. So the government got wind of me and said, listen, we understand that there are whole other guys, slew of guys, who are coming to us with this robotic stuff and Arduino and breadboard and EV3 and saying, hey, this is STEM. No, that is not STEM. What they are doing is they are quarantining, they are cocooning minds into following a set of instructions, 2 pages, 4 pages, bunch of experiments, 15, 20, 500, 1,000 experiments. Well, you go to a mechanic to get your car repaired. Mechanic will understand what to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he'll do it. Are we going to produce mechanics out of our children? So I said, no, we are not going to do that. So whether it's physiology, it's plant sciences, environment, it's disaster management, we have encompassed everything. So we are doing holistic development, addressing each and everything, but aligned with all these syllabuses. So the child or the teacher doesn't feel out of place. There's nothing left to guesswork. The children are in an environment where they understand the problem that they're addressing. Each problem is very well conceptualized, and then they address it through these various things. So when we went all around and we found that CBSE is eager to get teachers trained in STEM pedagogy. It's a new pedagogy. It's a way of thinking. There's no classroom like a theatrical style, like I am teaching and you are hearing. Okay, so I'm using a blackboard or whiteboard. So what they do is, they say, oh, it has to be interactive. It has to be a facilitator's role rather than an instructor's role. So that is what we are propagating. And so CBSE said, okay, Dr. Sharma, we are providing you this 360 odd teachers, train them in STEM pedagogy. So that's our journey thus far. And every day, more and more school principals, managements and all that are coming to us and saying, hey, you have brought something which will really, really fire up the innovative quotient or the index of creativity in this country. And that is what is required. So I've got 10 more minutes or 7 more minutes. She gives me 15 minutes, so sit down there. All right. So anyway, so here is the what of it. Okay. So I'll address very quickly because everybody has gone to the PowerPoint and all that. I'm not that kind of guy. I want to be face to face. Okay. All right. Forget it. All right. So I'm going to run through this. So we are about educate to innovate. Education bereft of innovative streak has no place going forward. And I'll prove to you. Okay. Where is that? Yeah, please, if you can. Thank you. Hey, he's a great guy. All right, go ahead. So, integrating STEM education that allows for mastery of concepts. We are not about cursory or superficial education. People must understand. So, the proof of the pudding lies in eating. So, all these few months that we have experimented and we have found the marks improve, which is paramount for parents, right? Okay. And then the teachers feel, initially they feel burden, no burden. After 3 months they feel, we are now less burdened. We have so much more time. Then the conceptual understanding of the children, that improves, which relates fast forward when he enters workspace or becomes an entrepreneur. Then he has got much better concepts. So he becomes an instrumentation engineer, mechanical engineer, or civil engineer, anything. He has much better hold on the subject matter. He can relate to what he has done or soiled his or her hands with. And there is creativity. So what Abdul Kalamji really focused was, hey, listen, there should be an innovation ecosystem. A system where creativity is instilled in the early age. And then it becomes a mindset. Then it becomes a scientific temper. And that's what I'm all about. So I want you to think hard. Please usher in this new era and become partners in this crusade. So it's all about exploration, discovery, invention, innovation, ecosystem. But catch them young. If you try to ingrain, like people said, retooling or this skill or that skill, I'm all about skilling. But if you try to give a skill when the person is beyond the level where he has to undo what he has done and then do what you are yearning him to do, it takes much more effort and time. It's redundant. Why don't you get? There is a place called Newnan, Georgia. He knows, about an hour, 15 minutes from us. There, my friend, ex-World Bank, ex-Bank of America, went to his village, started a program, a nucleus of 3 different high schools. In the center, he got hold of a dilapidated school and some little money, and he started a skilling program. I took the ambassador, the current foreign affairs minister, your Jai Shankar, and I took the consul general. They jumped out of the roof. Yeah, this is what India needs. So what he's doing differently, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders. He's got 21 streams. He's skilling those people in those 21 streams. By the time a child is 12th grader, he is proficient in 5, 6, 7, 6, and skills not only by his interest. Oh, I like to do this. By aptitude testing. And it's very easy. There are algorithms available. You can do that. And then it's very objective. And then they usher him into these. So what is happening? Like somebody said, oh, we have a mismatch. We have a gap. Why? The local industry needs those people. So there is Cancer Centers of America in Newnan, Georgia, and there is Hyundai Motor Corporation, and they were running away because we can't find skill. Now they are expanding there. More and more people. So there has to be some justification in what we are doing. So the buzzword is catch 'em young. Creative, inspired minds. Next one. Okay, fostering innovative mind. Next one. Quick. People are getting... so what, why and how? So the idea is to be able to see why STEM is required. So next slide. Grand engineering challenges. So my friend Rahul, where is he? He's not here. Rahul yesterday talked about all these sustainability development goals. And somebody talked about grand engineering challenges or grand challenges. We've got a whole host of them, right? Global warming, this, that. And Narayanji said some of them can be solved. Others, we have to challenge our young minds to solve. These guys will have solutions out of the box. You have to just inculcate, you have to provide an atmosphere of independent thought, of freedom of thinking. That's what is required. And 21st century job market. The job market for STEM related jobs is going to be north of 18%, as opposed to about 8% or 7.8% in non-STEM careers. So STEM is here to stay. The idea is, even CBSE has told me, NCCRD has told me, I've talked to Nitin Gadkari, I've talked to Prakash. They are all saying, listen, we are a big country, we are moving in that direction, give us some time. We are considering having experiential learning, sensorial learning in a big way. But now, hey, this is what the country is doing. What are you doing? What am I doing? I am putting my money where my mouth is. Okay? So I have taken the initiative and I say, hey, this is what I will do for the country. Let the country think what they can do themselves. So go ahead, next slide, please. So this is the traditional way of learning. I am speaking in you. This is a collaborative way of learning. So we have groups in a school, in a class, typical. We have these groups, 5 to a group, and then the class of 30, you have 6 groups, and then you give them a challenge, and you give them a course, rudimentary or advanced toolkits and materials, and then they find solutions to real world problems. Go ahead, next one, please. So, what is a child, a student? A student is a reflection of the teacher. So parents meet him or her only in the evening, and the principal meets him randomly, sporadically. The affinity or the proximity of the child to the teacher is almost perpetual. So you've got to use that. And so out of the 4 stakeholders, you have parents, you have management, you have school teachers, and you have students. The teachers are the key. They are the ambassadors. They will carry this forward. And so we have to have a buy-in from the teachers to be able to propagate STEM in the right fashion. Next one, please. Okay, hands-on inquiry. Everything is all hands-on. Next one, please, quickly. Okay, so the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has talked about it. National Science Foundation, our friend Narayanji alluded to it. So there is 1 in 6 STEM college students decide to study STEM in middle school. So girls are being so motivated to be able to pursue STEM careers. Next one, please. These are the challenges, and these challenges are nothing alien. They are all sustainable development goals. They are all those challenges, the grand challenges: advanced health informatics, prevent nuclear terror, cyber security, structure, cyberspace, engineering, all these. So we kind of hunt for examples for real world challenges that are relevant to it. I cannot be utopian. I cannot be talking to a child of a challenge existing in Germany or Switzerland or France or US. I have to talk about Indian challenges. Then only the child can relate to the problem and can Ashutosh solve that problem. Next one, Prime Minister. Next one. Next one. Next one. STEM occupations, as I said. So opportunity is there for the job market. When they say, oh sir, the government is doing nothing to provide the jobs. Man, you make yourself capable first to be able to find jobs. Why do you? So there's a different notion I have. Hey, you are an IIM topper, IIT topper. What do? You go and get a 1 crore package, 1.5 crore package, 2 crore package. But do you find purpose in what you're doing? You're making the Facebooks, the Googles, and the Intels of the world more powerful. They are squeezing you and your time and your effort, your energy. Are you finding purpose in what you're doing? Rather than becoming an entrepreneur, employing 1,000 people. That's the state of the mind we have to develop a child. And I'm proud that I'm on that path of doing. I will give you an example. Okay, women as I talked about, don't want to repeat, but women, that's the focus. And we are so proud that we are being shabashed because we are focusing on women. Yes, next one, please. Okay, so this is the tip of the iceberg. So the success is on the top. And the model in STEM is failure is not bad. No model that you create is good or bad, imperfect or perfect. It's all a process. So we harp on process. In the classroom, we emphasize, we laid a lot of focus on saying, hey, it's not bad to fail. You can design something, it's called engineering design process, EDP. You design something, it doesn't pass, it's okay. You try and make better next time. That's what we have to tell the child, to be confident about what he is doing, to be able to be ingenuous. Next one. Okay, so authentic, applicable, and actionable. Those are the nature of the challenges that we conjure. So you wouldn't believe that if we take one learning unit or one module, it takes 3.5, 4 months. Out of that, 1.5 months goes into just thinking what challenge is relevant, and then how to knit the science and math concept of CBSE or ICSE or state board, and then develop mini challenges and allow the child to get immersed into that to find a solution. Okay, next one. Code of conduct. So go back. So don't be scared. Timidity has no place. No question is bad. Ask inquiry, inspiration, innovation. That's the whole flow. Next one, please. And have a lot of fun, because they have fun. See, what is happening is the classroom is a totally dead place. 5 children out of the 30 are brilliant. They have the genes, they have the sanskar, they have whatever. What about the rest of them? How can the nation improve unless the whole lot of students improve? So the idea is to cross-mingle, cross-fertilize, have exchange of ideas, debates, discussions, and that's how you have a consensus. So we allow the children to run it. So there are 2 ways of learning swimming, right? You employ a 1,000, 10,000 rupees coach, or you tie 2 things on his and push him into the pool. He will learn how to swim. We dive the children into doing that. You can clap generously, sir, no problem. Yeah, I'm waiting. Yeah, there you go. All right. So let me give you an example of how we relate, and this will appeal to my friend Rajiv. So rather than saying, hey, drones, so we have drones for 9th grade and 10th grade, we have 3D printers, we have snap circuit, everything, the whole 9 yards. But we have rudimentary things also, very, very normal thing. And children enjoy and they say, they cry, sir, aaj hi maza aaya. We had so much fun in learning. That's what is learning. So they get joy and fun in learning. The CBSE director told me, Dr. Saha, Joseph Mandel, so we are making curriculum aligned to this, and you are the right people. So what we do is, we say, hey, drones are not used only for photography, picnic pe gaye, wedding or birthday party. So we say we arm the drone with RFID, and the drone goes into the warehouse. Okay, rather than Ramu, Shamu or Sundar doing inventory control, the drone does the inventory control. So those are the applications that we encourage. So when you say, hey, what is the difference between he is selling a camera or he's selling a fountain pen, right? The difference is in delivery. So we say, okay, how can the drones be utilized for precision delivery? Move on. Okay, this is all that. Move on. So move on. Quick. Shooting for more market share, okay? So these are each of our module comprises of a teacher's manual, a student worksheet. It has multimedia. Now we are integrating virtual reality. It has got materials. And most importantly, you'll love this, it has got pre-assessment and post-assessment. There is no problem, there is no reason not to do assessment. How do parents know that this is making an impact? So we have an algorithm which is revealing to the principal, revealing to the parents, hey, this is how your child has progressed from before doing this and after doing this. So it's a very, very objective, very, very analytical way of arriving at a conclusion. Next one, please. Yeah, next one. Oh, these are details. Oh, anyway, so contextual, that is most important. Contextual, real-world challenges, local approaches, local solutions, like somebody said, Rajiv and tinfoil hat going from you, okay? Structured modules aligned with syllabus, whatever syllabus it may be. Educator guide, this pre-post assessment, program consultation, 24/7 support. So, at the end of it all, I want to just take 2 more minutes and I want to address something which I'm so proud of. That is the result of our effort. So there is a young lady in this crowd and her name is Manjushri. Can I request Manjushri to come here? And sir, where is my friend Balaji? Balaji, can you play that? 2 more minutes and Mr. Narayan will take his seat. So Manjushri is, I just met her in the dining hall. All right, clap for please. So Manjushri has come here from Qatar, I was told by Ushaji. And Manjushri has a lot of friends. All these friends are going shopping or zoo or here and there, right? And only Manjushri is here listening to stupid people. I'm sorry, 60 north of 60 people like us. But Manjushri is passionate. And guess what? Manjushri is 12 years old. Right? So I want to leave you with a success story of my program of a 12-year-old, and you will be enthused. If you don't have goosebumps, you know what's a goosebump? Or if you don't cry out of emotion, then probably you're failing. So please enjoy this 5-minute clip. Have you heard of Gitanjali Rao? Anybody? Nobody? You have heard of Gitanjali Rao? Okay, so only one person. So I'm not doing anything injustice. So this Gitanjali Rao is like her, a 12-year-old, and see what she has done. Go ahead. Can you dim the lights? These lights. Sir? This is a TEDx Chennai talk, by the way.
We have 1.3 billion people, 100,000 water systems, and 70% of our pipes have lead. These statistics represent the state of India's water quality and the extent of contamination. How many of us are absolutely sure that the water we are drinking is safe and contaminant-free? I am Gitanjali Rao, and I find solutions to real-world problems. My journey has been about tackling one of the main challenges we face today, access to clean drinking water. And along this journey, I developed a device that detects lead in water faster than current techniques. While my story has a whole lot of science, it speaks to something much larger. How we can collectively encourage science and technology and solve the problems in our society. It all started 2 years ago when I learned about the water crisis in the city of Flint, state of Michigan, US, where peak lead levels were detected to be around 127 parts per billion, way above the US Environmental Protection Agency standards of 15 parts per billion of lead. Surprisingly, this was not just limited to a city in mid-Michigan and its 100,000 residents. This is a worldwide problem, and we need to do something about it. Mercury, arsenic, cadmium, and lead are the top contaminants in water and are growing every day. 60% of the water in the Indo-Gangetic Basin has harmful levels of arsenic. Out of these, lead poisoning is growing at an alarming proportion. 33% of water samples from the top 26 cities in India have harmful levels of lead. Out of these, 31% fail to adhere to the World Health Organization standards of 15 parts per billion of lead, and 2% of these fail to even meet India's standards, and very lenient standards of 50 to 100 parts per billion of lead. Lead can enter our water through many channels. It can come through corroded old lead pipes, solders and pipe joints, fixtures, low-quality PVC pipes, and even brass faucets. All of these are very common to find in India. We have a big problem in our hands, and lead in water is far bigger than lead in our instant noodles. Let me tell you why this is such a big problem. Lead is harmful because of the lingering effects it has on the human body. In simple terms, lead and calcium compete for the same location within the body and are stored within the bone. So when lead is present in the system, the body substitutes it for the calcium and builds up everything with it. So the younger the child, the more impact. A child can experience birth defects or abnormal growth with harmful levels of lead in their body. Health effects of lead in water ranges anywhere from just headaches and nausea to possible seizures and even death. Lack of knowledge of contamination and the extent of contamination is the bigger problem, as it has kept people away from finding alternatives sooner and taking action. Hence, detection became my primary focus. The current solutions in countries like India or America are either cumbersome, take time, or expensive. They don't necessarily look at detection, accuracy, contamination levels together. They're either test strips, which are not accurate, or sending your water to your local water facility lab, which is inconvenient, expensive, and takes time. Unfortunately, in countries like India, there are no easy home test kits at all. My solution addresses the core issue of speedy detection of lead contamination, helping people take preventative measures and maybe even saving lives. It uses the latest developments in nanotechnology, is easy to use, fast, accurate, portable, and inexpensive. MIT and others have been working on using carbon nanotube-based sensor technology to detect hazardous gases in the air. I decided to expand this idea to apply for liquids to detect lead in water. Due to the complexity of detecting lead, especially in a liquid medium, this required a radically different approach than current solutions in the market. Therefore, I decided to build one. I named my device Tethys, after the Greek goddess of fresh water, and it fills the gaps in the current solutions. Tethys includes three main parts: a core device housing a processor with a Bluetooth extension and a 9-volt power source, a disposable cartridge that attaches to the core device and forms a circuit with a processor. Due to the nature of my medium, liquids, I had to use a bucky paper form of carbon nanotube so it wouldn't easily disperse in the water. And lastly, a smartphone that connects over Bluetooth to display results. The working of this device is quite simple. This disposable lead sensor cartridge here includes carbon nanotubes specially treated with chloride ions. Let's say the water here has lead in it. When I dip this into the water I want to test, the lead in the water binds with the chloride ions in the nanotube, forming lead chloride molecules, increasing the amount of resistance to the flow of current, as well as decreasing the conductivity. The conductivity drop is correlated to the severity of the lead compounds in water. To make it easier for the user, I added an Arduino processor to measure all resistance and current values, and a Bluetooth extension so we can send all the data to your mobile phone in the form of either safe, slightly contaminated, or critical. The results show up almost instantaneously on your smartphone on an easy-to-read visual scale. At an R&D or prototype cost, my device costs about 1,300 rupees, and the cartridge costs close to 275 rupees. At scale, I hope to bring the entire device cost down to 300 rupees and the cartridge to only 10. I'm currently working on evolving my device even further, and I also received investment funding. I'm happy to unveil to you the latest version of my device. It is more compact and has better sensor usability. I'm also planning on refining the carbon nanotube sensor to make sure it's more accurate, performing false positive tests, trying with other dopants such as fluorine and iodine, and even in the future, adding the option to crowdsource device data. Scale testing continues to be a primary focus, and I hope to partner with various research labs and water facilities in the future in order to perform tests. I believe that the purpose of science is to make a difference.
So the purpose of science is to make a difference. Lights, please. And this is coming from a 12-year-old. Manjushri, why did you go away? Come here. So here is a child that we need to train. We need to develop a mindset. We need to develop a challenge in her mind that, listen, I don't want to be run-of-the-mill. I have to be extraordinary. And if each child can have this spirit of undying valor, then you will uplift this country and will gain the same prominence that it once had at the pinnacle of scientific glory. Thank you.
Questions, because as wonderful as this has been, we are seriously behind schedule. Dr. Nivedita Haran, please. She is a retired IAS officer. I have had the pleasure of working with her on when we were on a committee to bring about IIT Palakkad. And as far as I can remember, there were like 15 people on the committee, and she did all the work. So, please.
Thank you, Professor Narayan. Since I've already given away 15 minutes of my time, I think I'm left with only 15, and I'll be very brief. Of course, I have to begin by thanking the IIT group, the team, Professor Satya, Professor Usha, all the others, the entire team who have made this possible. Professor Narayanan was doing it at long distance, but they are the ones who have done it here, and therefore thanks to you. I have to admit that I am actually a gate crasher here. When Professor Narayanan said that through somebody who was a part of this, going to be a part of this workshop, brought me in, I sent off an email to Professor Narayanan. I don't have a PPT. I'll be very, very brief. I tried to fob him off by putting an idea which I knew nobody really likes to hear, which was a lot of research is done all over the country, but how is that research relevant for us bureaucrats and civil servants who are sitting there in the field? There isn't much of a bridge. And therefore, I wrote that to Professor Narayanan and I said, you see, I don't see myself anywhere there, and as Professor Dr. Amitabh said just now, I only go to places and conferences where I think there is some action involved. Because at this stage in life, I have no desire to deal with things which are somewhere in the air, which means nothing to me. But surprisingly, Professor Narayanan got back to me saying that, no, we have a subcommittee in this. So I was caught. And here I am. Now that I am here, I also have to express a regret. I would have loved to have seen some of my young IAS colleagues sitting here, some of my young administrators sitting here. Unfortunately, nobody is present here, and therefore I seem to be holding the torch for them. But not very well, because I am not in the service any longer. Therefore, I have an advantage, and I am going to place a few ideas before you with a few case studies. And I would like to leave you with those so that you think about them and probably come up with solutions, as Dr. Amitabh has given some solutions for improving the quality of education. I had a couple of interactions with Dr. Kalam during my tenure in the government. The one I want to mention is when we happened to gave orders under my directions to cut about 20 trees to construct the approach road to Kannur Airport in Kerala. I worked in Kerala. We got, before the work could be done, unfortunately, we got a letter from the President's Secretariat saying that it should not be done. He's received a complaint that this work is illegal and therefore we should not be doing it. We were held up, which was not very good, but what we did was we got the trees. We wrote back to the President's Secretariat that we'll do that. But instead of the requirement of 5 trees per tree cut, we will plant 10 trees per tree cut. And we promptly got a response saying that if you do that, make sure you do it, and then we have no objection. We did that. But that was not the end to the story. Within 6 months, President Kalam came to visit Kerala, and he was in Thrissur, and I, as the Home Secretary, I was there with him. I talked to him, and I said, sir, do you remember you had given us permission to cut those trees? He listened to me. I didn't have to remind him because his memory was phenomenal. And he said that, but patted me and said, but make sure all the trees survive. That was President Kalam. He is the role model who I think everyone, every youngster, old person, middle-aged, everyone has to follow some of the things that he has taught us. Now yesterday Rahul talked about the SDG. We have a lot of things happening in the government, but sometimes there are so many that we are confused. By we, I mean our officers who are working there. The collector, the tahsildar, the village officer, the patwari, the staff in the block, in the panchayat. SDG is another one. And sometimes I regret to say what has happened is that SDG has probably given us only a source of spending more time in preparing reports and taking away time from actually doing the work. And therefore, my advice to the young officers always has been, not just officers, the public servants has been, don't waste time in doing SDGs. You do your work, implement the projects, implement the developmental programs, and SDG targets will automatically be met. The role of an administrator and the role and responsibility of an administration, as you know, has changed over the time. Yesterday we heard how the role and the responsibilities of the teacher has changed, of the academicians have changed. Same with the administrators. Now we are supposed to ensure that we put more time into developmental activities. We make sure that projects are implemented. We have to make sure that proposals are simple, implementable, implemented in time. There is reduction in interface between the government and the client. There is quality of the project is well implemented. These are the requirements that are important. Similarly, it is also important to make sure there is efficient use of finances that we are putting into the work. But sometimes this doesn't happen. And I often used to think, and I often will, fortunately when I was in the service, I was not going to seminars and workshops. I had no time for that. Now that I've retired over the last 19-20 months, I have more time and I've been doing it. And I often find, and it frustrates me when I go there, and often I hear academicians speaking about what wonderful work has been done. And my question is, have you reached this work to the bureaucrat? Because the reason always given is that what I did, what I found could not be implemented because nobody, no bureaucrat, no policymaker even ever listened to me. Now what have you done to ensure that he listens to you, he or she listens to you? Nothing. You have left it to gather dust in your library and you expect that the bureaucrat will be able to find it? No, that's not how it happens. It has to be a two-way process. At the same time, I admit that while we are in the service, while in the bureaucracy, we feel that a lot of academic work is actually armchair work, which is a very sad thing, which is unfortunate. It should not be like that. We have to bring ourselves on a common platform. And that is another kind of common platform that Rajiv was mentioning in the morning, where the academicians and the policymakers talk to each other, know what the other person is doing, and the kind of research that happens is field-oriented, field-necessitated. That is what is important. Professor Satya very emotionally and very emotively, he said that how the lives of the youngsters are being destroyed by the JEE. I want to tell you how the lives of the bureaucrats are being destroyed by the JEE. After all, who comes into the civil service? In my batch of 100, we had about 15 IITians. I believe there have been batches where there have been 50% officers from the IITs. So these are the same people who have followed the JEE to whatever happened in the IITs to the IAs, and they have, corrupted it. When I go to the academy to speak to them, after listening to my talk on something I think very brilliant on how to manage land, how to modernize the land management system, the question I got from a young officer was, "Madam, how long will it take me to get a red light on the top of my car?" Can you believe that? That is the kind of people you are sending into the IAS. Shame on us. If this is what is happening, sitting in the UPSC or speaking to the bureaucrats, the new bureaucrats in Mussoorie, I feel ashamed. I feel sorry. I even tell some of them that I think it's better you go back and write your resignation letter. Because the kind of things you're expecting from the service, you will never get it. So do not join the service if your reasons are wrong. Because you're doing a harm to the system and you're doing a big harm to yourself. I want to give a few case examples and leave you with those because I want you to think about them. And these are all case studies which I have come across over the last 2 years. 2 years or so. I have gone to West Bengal for a certain reason as part of a JNU team. And we went to a village called, a panchayat called Bali 2. Bali 2 panchayat, I don't know if Rajiv you were there with us, you were not. Bali 2 panchayat, a very backward area, no source of drinking water, affected by cyclone very recently, just before, a couple of months before we had gone there. But one bright thing I saw there was 100 or more than 100 of the houses had solar panels on top of their roofs. And the residents told me that with this solar panel, we can put on 2 lights, 1 fan, 1 TV and 1 phone charger. And they're happy. But the president tells me, the panchayat president tells me, Mondol tells me, that we have to stop these now because there's no one who can service these solar panels. I came back and I was in Jadavpur University, my old university, and I asked somebody, why don't you train a few boys, young boys there to do the servicing of these solar panels? Because once something goes wrong, then there is no way of repairing them. And then they are back to the dark ages again. This is a simple example where I think researchers have to think about. The second example is close to my home in Kerala, where we have a lot of migrants in Kerala now. I don't know how many of you know, just as Malayalis have moved out, 50 lakh plus Malayalis have moved out to the Gulf, there are about 35 lakh non-Malayalis, basically from Odisha, Bengal, Bihar and Assam, who have moved into Kerala. And they are doing most of the petty work, right from construction work, unskilled labor. Now they are becoming a bit skilled and becoming masons and carpenters also, and even gone into farming now. Now what is their situation? I'm afraid to say, and Professor Narayan, I especially extol you to hear me, the condition that they live in is pathetic. We are very proud in Kerala to say that the quality of life is good, every child goes to school, everyone has health facilities, there is no child who is unvaccinated in Kerala, and I'm proud of it. I was collector when we became polio free. But these kids of the migrant population do not go to school. They are not vaccinated. There is no system of education available to them because they are either Odia speaking, Bengali speaking or some other language speaking, so they cannot go to the Malayali language schools. We don't think about them. The people are blind to them. The administration is blind to them. So when I asked the collector and the education secretary that why don't we introduce Bengali medium for the first few classes for some of the children who can go to school in the local school, he readily agreed. But he said that where is the teacher and who will pay for it? So we started it. The organization I was involved in, they started paying for them. But that's only a very, very small solution to a big problem. The point I want to raise here is that we are all very good, but we also have a bad and exploitative side to us. These are the people who are working, who are actually constructing the high-rises in Ernakulam and Perumbavoor and Trivandrum, but that they don't have health facilities. The kind of situations and conditions their families are living in, we turn a blind eye to it. The third case I want to refer to you is something from a very, very faraway place, which is Kashmir. There is a lake there, which is in the Himalayan region, which, based on a PIL filed in 2002, the High Court of J&K had taken it over as a what they call the custodia legis, which means that property was under the court ownership, holding. Court was controlling it. And the reason was the lake had got so polluted that it was not fit for anything. Over the last 15 years or so, about 350 crores had been spent in cleaning up the lake, various other activities, rehabilitating some of the families who were encroaching, but the condition of the lake had not improved. So in 2018, in its wisdom, the High Court decided to set up a committee of experts, and this was based on a report, a vision document given by the IIT Roorkee, which said that if conditions continued like this, in the next 10 years or 12 years, there will be no lake. I'm talking about the Dal Lake. I think many of you have gone there in your visits and tourism and honeymoon. It's a place where a lot of people come there. But what is happening to the lake? The biggest problem in that lake is the houseboats in that lake, which the tourists are using it so merrily. Entire pollution, sewage, night soil, solid waste is going into the lake. And nobody asks that question. When we asked that question, the committee consisting of the four of us, we asked that question to the houseboat owners and the houseboat operators. They said, "Isse pehle to kisi ne ye baat nahi pucha." Nobody asked us this question before, as if it's a question not to be asked. Why is it that we do not look at these things? Why is it that we don't think about these things? And I think we need youngsters like Gitanjali and the kind of people that you are training to ask these questions at a basic stage. For the last 100 years, houseboats are a heritage of Dal Lake. Can you think of the Dal Lake without the houseboats? You can't. But do you know that any garbage, any excreta thrown out into the houseboats goes into the lake? So now we are trying to clean that up. The second thing that's happening in the lake is the STPs that are functioning. There are 5 of them. The treated effluent that is going in is not even up to the standards of the requirement as per the Indian CPCB. But then again, nobody ever tested it. So when you ask them, the question is, "Nahi, Jara, it's treated, so who says that the COD BOD is not as per requirement?" But when you test it, and I take the water and go and test it myself, I find that no, it is not. It is 5 times more than what should be. So that's again something to be done. The third is solid waste. Plastic everywhere. It is the same people, the same foreigners as well as Indians, who would not think of throwing solid waste anywhere except in a garbage bin if they were in any other place, maybe except India, who do the unthinkable there in the Dal Lake. Now, if it is a heritage natural site, if it is a protected area, environmentally protected area, why is it that we don't think about keeping it clean from the beginning? The final thing that is happening there is the catchment areas. There are 365 square kilometers of catchment area from where the water from the glaciers melted comes into the lake. The streams are so polluted now on the way that the lake, what it gets is not water, what it gets is close to sewage. Now, who makes them understand? Who is it that makes them understand? And there is an IIT, an IIM, and engineering colleges all over, in Srinagar, in Jammu, in all over the country. It's a part of our country. Why is it that, and I'm giving this as an example, that public property is everyone's property, and therefore everyone should protect it, not that everyone should destroy and pollute it. Now, no country has developed without the involvement of the citizens. You see, when you look at any country who has done well economically, socially, etc., no government can do it. Okay? If it is done only by the government, it's not sustainable. The citizens have to be involved, and that's only then the development and the growth becomes sustainable. That is perhaps lacking here. The bureaucracy, yes, I admit the bureaucracy is, like many other links, one of the weakest links, but it's not that the bureaucrats come from the moon. They are also from amongst us. And they are the people, as I mentioned earlier, who have come more from here. And I'm sure there must be a lot of IIT Madras officers in the service. What are they giving back to society? Are they there to ensure when they get a red light on their car? Are they there to ensure how much money they can make through legal or corrupt means? There's something wrong in the system, and that system needs to be changed. Maybe he will handle that. I have been telling Professor Narayanan that the days of pilots are over. Piloting, we have done enough. In fact, we have done so much of piloting. Often, when you hear something as a pilot, you realize it's not a pilot. The same thing I have heard it. Even as a collector, I have heard it. But then, why is it that it has not been spread all over the country? Maybe what we have done it, the system has been wrong, maybe we have not approached it in the right manner. Our focus areas are, I agree, primary education is, for me, one of the primary focus areas, primary health, energy, agriculture, value addition. just growing agriculture is not enough, and housing. These are